The Golden State Warriors sent the Memphis Grizzlies back to the Shadow Realm. As you all know, the Golden State Warriors faced off against the Memphis Grizzlies, where the Warriors smoked them 137 to 116 and sent a message to the rest of the NBA. In today's video, we're going to be going through 5 reasons why the Golden State Warriors were able to obliterate the Memphis Grizzlies and how this is going to help them win another NBA championship and make it back to the playoffs. So make sure to like this video, and guys, 92% of you are still not subscribed to the channel, so it means the world if you can subscribe to the channel, hit that red button down below. The first is that Jonathan Kaminga absolutely played a monster game. Now, as you all know, Jonathan Kaminga has definitely been showing out, and he's been doing it on such a consistent basis over the last couple of games that he was able to do it once again against the Memphis Grizzlies. So like we mentioned before, they did smoke Memphis Grizzlies 116 to 137, but Jonathan Kaminga specifically definitely had himself a game. He had himself 26 points, 5 rebounds, and also 4 assists, while also getting 2 steals. Now, the greatest thing about his performance in this matchup was not only the fact that he was the highest scorer in this game, but the efficiency that he shot at, where he shot 12 from 17 from the field and also went 2 from 3 from the three-point line. Guys, Jonathan Kaminga had himself not just a great game, but a very efficient one at that, and this is just showing telltale signs of what Jonathan Kaminga can be in the future. We all know this, Kaminga can definitely be a star one day, even for this Golden State Warriors team, and now that he has been given the opportunity, he's definitely starting to show out, which I think he's done a fantastic job. What I love most about his game, especially from these highlights you see right here, he's able to play the complementing role to Steph and Curry, to other players like Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, very well. He's always in the right area, he knows where his shots are, and he's able to hit them effectively, and that's why he was able to come out of this game as the highest scorer. The greatest thing about Jonathan Kaminga as well, I definitely do believe, is his ability to actually score off ball. He isn't the dribble type of player where he needs, 10-15 dribbles in order to get you a bucket. All he needs, maybe a pull up right here, maybe a jump shot in the corner here and there, and he can get you 26 in a hurry. And I think that's what makes him such an efficient player. We all know this is Steph and Curry's team, and Steph is definitely going to run the ball and run the offense, and to have someone like Kaminga who does a great job at complementing that, I think is definitely a plus, especially when it comes playoff and also championship time. Now, when it comes to his defense, it definitely is second to none. He did a great job on defense, also getting those 2 steals with a breakaway dunk was honestly fantastic. But on top of everything, his on ball and his ability to move, any position 1 through 5, whether it's on switches and pick and roll situations, he's done a fantastic job at playing great defense no matter what the position, which I think makes him so versatile on defense as well. The second is that Klay Thompson is becoming a great candidate for the 6th Man of the Year award. Now, this obviously is a bit of a hyperbole, but when it comes to Klay Thompson, he's definitely been a fantastic player for the Golden State Warriors ever since coming off the bench. Now, Klay Thompson wasn't too happy off coming the bench, but we actually see him do much better job on offense, especially when it comes to playing that 6-man role. Now, in this matchup, he was actually the 2nd highest scorer, just behind Jonathan Kaminga, which I think is fantastic, where he had himself 23 points, 2 assists, and also 1 steal. But the greatest thing about this is that he actually shot 5 from 11 from the three-point line and went 9 from 18 from the field, which I thought was really good as well. Now, we all know this about Klay Thompson. He has come back from 2 major injuries, and it was a bit of a rocky start to this season. Where we really saw him struggle is not actually to score, but the efficiency that he was scoring at. There were a lot of games you could maybe drop 20, 25 points, but only shoot, around 30% from the field, 40% from the field at times. But we have definitely seen that change ever since he has moved into that 6-man position. He doesn't need as many shots, but he's able to give you 15, 20 points in a hurry, and I think that's what makes him so special, especially when it comes to him coming off the bench. He is able to be that spark that the Warriors desperately needed off the bench, and that extra scorer that is needed for that second unit. When we look at the first unit, they definitely have enough scorers in Andrew Wiggins, Stephen Curry, Jonathan Kaminga. List really does go on and on, but where they really struggled when Klay was actually in the starter role was second unit offense. And now that Klay is a part of that second unit, he's able to team up very well with Chris Paul, and that's why we saw Chris Paul have himself a great game with 14 assists. And on top of that, Klay Thompson was able to play like his prime old self. We saw him take spot up shots, 1 dribble pull-ups. The greatest kind of offense that we see from Klay is definitely the efficiency side of things, not taking too many dribbles, not trying to ISO, and that's what we got of into this game against the Memphis Grizzlies. The third is that the Golden State Warriors shot a very highly efficient game. So this isn't a particular player, but as a whole, the Golden State Warriors actually shot fantastic, and they did a great job from all sides of the court. Now, when we look at the Golden State Warriors, they're actually shot from the field 58% to Memphis Grizzlies 43%. And on top of that, Warriors actually even took a lot more shots. They took 100 shots while Memphis only took 96. So we definitely see not only is Warriors shooting a lot more with the high volume, but they also are shooting at a very efficient rate. 58% is very, very good. And although Stephen Curry did only score 14 points in this game, he actually went 5 from 9. So it wasn't like he was struggling from the field or anything like that. Everyone was just absolutely shooting lights out. Draymond Green went 5 from 10. Wiggins went 9 from 14. Curry went 5 from 9. And also Klay, like we talked about, went also 9 from 18. So Warriors shot absolutely fantastic. And even better, when we look at the 3-point percentage, that's where we see the biggest difference as well. Now, the Memphis Grizzlies actually went 18 from 49 from the 3-point line, which equates to a 36.7% 3-point percentage, which is also pretty good. That is, above that average range. However, the Golden State Warriors shot 19 from 39, which is 48.7%, guys. Almost 50% they shot from the 3-point line, which is honestly insane. Getting a 40% 3-point percentage as an individual is already really good, and the fact that they were able to shoot almost 50% as a team is honestly insane as well. Now, some big standouts from that was Stephen Curry, went 4 from 7. You had Wiggins, who also went 4 from 6. Kaminga, who went 2 from 3. And also none other than Chris Paul stepped up and went 2 from 3. And Klay Thompson also went 5 from 11. So they all shot very, very good numbers from that 3-ball line. And that's what really equated to this win as well, I do believe. Now, when we look at the free throw percentage, the Golden State Warriors only took 6 free throws, so they didn't take a lot. They did shoot 33%, which is a bit poor, to the Memphis Grizzlies, who shot 77%. But at the end of the day, I think 3 points and field goals is definitely what put them over the edge, especially in this matchup. The fourth is that Chris Paul is starting to be a great leader for the second unit. Now, as you all know, Chris Paul was actually originally in the starting lineup earlier on this season, and Chris Paul did not want to come off the bench, but it does seem that Chris Paul and Klay Thompson are now coming off the bench, and it has actually done wonders for this team ever since that happened. Now, CP3 in this matchup actually had himself 12 points and 14 assists, so he had himself a double-double, which was nice, but he also had 4 rebounds as well, which I thought was great as well. Now, when we look at Chris Paul, he did shoot 5 from 8 from the field and also went 2 from 3, like we mentioned before, in 3-point line, which I thought was amazing. But the fact that he was able to dish out 14 assists off the bench in only 24 minutes of game time while also dropping 12 points, it definitely shows you the efficiency that Chris Paul is playing with. Chris Paul has always been a very efficient player, but now that he has the capability to lead the second unit and to really be that offense that really controls it, I think it's really done wonders for this team. Like I mentioned before, when Stephen Curry and Chris Paul are out there, it definitely is a little bit harder due to the fact that they both have different ways of being a point guard. CP3, he likes to have the ball in his hands, he likes to run pick and rolls and get his teammates open, while Stephen Curry prefers to play a lot more free flow type basketball, very fast paced, and also a little bit more, less positioned and less, structured in that sense. But either side works. Chris Paul has done very well with his strategy over the last couple of years playing with different teams, but Stephen Curry's also won championships with the free flow type basketball. But the fact that they now have 2 and they can run both either way, when Stephen Curry's in with that first unit and Chris Paul's in with that second unit, I definitely think really adds a lot of depth to this team. I think this is the best way to actually utilize CP3's later in his career. As you all know, he is getting a little bit older and he isn't going to be here forever. So the fact that they have used him in that second unit with Klay Thompson, I think is honestly done wonders for him. And he's also got great teammates in that second unit with Trayce Jackson-Davis, Dario Saric, who he's played with before, Kevon Looney. So he's got what he wants, big men who can run the pick and roll, get inside, and how Chris Paul can also throw the lobs to them. So there's definitely a lot of benefit to CP3 coming off the bench and playing with that second unit, and I think it is going to be very beneficial when it comes playoff time. The fifth is that Andrew Wiggins helped this team a lot on both ends of the floor. Now, as you all know, Andrew Wiggins has struggled a little bit so far this season, but he's slowly starting to turn it around, and in this recent matchup against the Memphis Grizzlies, he did a fantastic job dropping 22 points, 10 rebounds, and also 3 assists, while also getting 1 block, which I thought was fantastic. So he did get himself a 22-10 game, a double-double, which was great to see. He also was the 3rd highest scorer for this team, so he was able to provide a lot of scoring in that way. But on top of that, the efficiency that he scored with when going 9 from 14 from the field and also 4 from 6 from the 3 is a game we haven't seen Andrew Wiggins Wiggins play in a while. Like I mentioned before, it's definitely been a struggle for Wiggins, but he's slowly starting to get back to where he was before, and he definitely showed it in this most recent game. Now, this doesn't show up in the stat sheet, but the amount of defense and defensive plays that he was making out there on the floor was honestly great to see. Whether it was switches, help defense, help slides, any of those situations, or even pick and roll situations with Curry or even other players like brandin podziemski, he was doing a fantastic job of being able to really recover on defense and be that defensive anchor that they need, especially for the wing. We all know Jonathan Kaminga and Draymond Green do a great job inside defending, but Wiggins is that wing defender that they desperately need, and he definitely showed it in tonight's matchup. He did a great job. Now, when it came to scoring for Memphis Grizzlies, there were a couple of players who did drop 20 plus points, 30 plus points. However, he was able to keep them to a still as much as they could, while the Warriors were able to get to 137. So I think it was great to see how he was able to play both ends of the floor very well.